I'm Nathan's mom, and I'm going to talk about autism and how we got a lot of help to get Nathan on his way to be successful as a young adult. Autism is a very unique disorder. It involves it's a brain disorder where kids are born with this disorder, and it's very, very difficult to diagnose these children. They come with, their brain doesn't operate the way a normal child's brain operates. So when Nathan was 2.5, he just stopped saying words. And we took him to a lot of specialists who could not diagnose him at the time. He's now 21 years old. When he was 2.5, he just kept running and screaming and not talking. He started saying words at 7 months, and then after a year his words became less and less, and by 2.5 he was just staring with a blank stare and then screaming and running. So he was so out of control, we took him to the doctors, the specialists at different places. But at that time, the diagnostic tools were not as up to date as they are today. And there were 1 in 200 children were being diagnosed as autistic at that time. Today, the rate has gone up to 1 in 100. So this is a very serious disorder. Autism affects all parts of the body. It's a sensory integration problem where children feel, hear, and see things separately. Their hearing is so acute that all the sorts of noises, they react very heavily to noises, very severely. They scream, and they can't feel their bodies, so that's why they run. And it is very, very difficult to work with an autistic child. But there's an old proverb, African proverb, that says it takes a village, an entire village to raise a child. That proverb has been used in many books and publications, but it started in an African village, and that's where it came from years ago, centuries ago. And it truly takes a village to raise a child. It took strong parental involvement. The home had to be perfect. We were determined to get our child to move forward because he was the only last of a male line of Barclays on my husband's side. His grandfather had 6 boys, and his father had 2 boys, and now we have 1, the only Barclay male left. So we had to do something for our child, and we had faith. We got the diagnosis, and a specialist told us if we didn't put him in a school by 2.5 or 4, he would never speak. So we were able to get him into school and then move him forward to a school that was very focused on autistic children, and he started talking at 4. The first words that he said were, "Look, Mommy, McDonald's." So we knew he was thinking, but he couldn't get the words out.
Hello, I'm Nathan's aunt, and I've been having him over for the weekends from he was about 3 years old. They say autistic children have a deadpan expression and they don't look at you. Nathan was a child that was always smiling and laughing. Occasionally he would just scream and you wouldn't know why he was screaming. But as he grew and they gave him medication, he grew out of that phase. And I started tutoring him when he was about, I'm not sure the age, about 10. I was teaching him math and reading comprehension. And I also taught him keyboarding, which he learned some at school, but we did keyboarding on the computer. I bought him a computer program that taught you keyboarding, and he has really progressed. He can concentrate. He has been studying to get his learner's license. He's been studying reading comprehension. He's been studying the multiplication table, addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. Word problems, we're just starting on some word problems now. So he's really picking up on his academics. And I think Nathan, as time goes by and his understanding increases, he will be able to learn anything he needs to know. And really what my wish for him is that he'll get his learner's license and he'll be able to drive.
Hi, my name is John Soames. I've worked with Nathan at the Danvers YMCA for about 9 years now, and I've seen some great improvements on him. He started out in my after-school program as one of our students, and he did great with the kids and intermingling, and he was a great communicator. But over the years, I've seen him grow even more. After he left our program, he continued coming to the Danvers Y. He was working out in a fitness center, and he had a personal trainer. And he was also there early in the mornings too, working out. And
I first met Helen, Nathan's mother, who came to us to seek out services. I worked on helping people place people in employment, and she needed someone to be a one-on-one aid to her son Nathan. And I found an individual that wanted to do that type of work, and we met Nathan. And he did not have attention span for anything. He went from one thing to the next. And just on our initial meeting, I thought, oh, you know, this young man that was going to be the aide, that he's going to have his hands full. Nathan was practically nonverbal, and just ran from one thing to the next. So the aide, and I supported the aide. So I actually helped, went with the aide to there was a YMCA program that he was in, because he needed that individual attention. He could not be independent with the other children, and didn't interact at all with the other children, actually, or well, or appropriately, I guess the word I should say. And the aide then followed Nathan when he was school age to the school, I think it was first grade, to be integrated into the classroom. And I've heard trying stories from the teacher and the aide, just how Nathan was extremely disruptive in class, and even with an aide, a one-on-one aide, it was challenging, I guess, for them. But you see Nathan now, it's incredible, the change, and just he's changed so much, and I'm sure it's with a lot of support from family, friends, the school systems.
So on the weekends, on Sunday, I would take him to church, and he would go to what they call children's church sometimes, where they had the children, and the children had their own church, separate from the adults, because some of them got restless in the church, so they didn't have to sit down as long, but they learned how to sit down, and they learned how to participate in the service. And he was very encouraged by the people who used to run the children's church, our church brothers and sisters, and they'd give him advice, and they'd be patient with him. And they really brought him along to a point where he was used to moving with other kids and participating in something like church. Then I used to take him to church sometimes children's church wasn't arranged so that they had it every Sunday. I'd take him upstairs, and he'd go through the service with all the singing, and when they took the collection, but when the pastor started preaching, I would have to take him downstairs to what they'd call a cry room, because kids would cry in church, and they'd just take them to the cry room, and we could watch the church on TV. Now, he really progressed in church. He learned to mix with people.
The church was a wonderful environment for our son. It gave us faith to keep going with him, and it gave us confidence that he one day he would be a better child, and he would be able to reach high levels of education and social behavior.